Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Brooke.
I'm Diana.
And this is episode 92. Today we're going to be talking about Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6, Episode 1, entitled The End is the Beginning. But before we dive in, Diana, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brooke.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
I love it that we're dressed up for Halloween.
Love it. I love Halloween.
And that I have a green face today.
She's green. So Diana looks, well, why don't you introduce yourself, Diana?
I'm Roz. Have you done your paperwork?
I knew exactly who she was as soon as she didn't tell me who she was going to be. So I knew exactly who you were when I saw you.
Thank you, Brooke. You're so good.
I love it.
I asked the boys and they're like, are you an old lady, an old teacher?
They're all...
And I'm like, how about Roz? And then one of them's all, oh yeah, I see it. I see it now.
It is so funny.
Funny. Yeah.
I love it. Great job, Diana.
Yeah, but even though we're not going anywhere, here we are celebrating. So I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I know. I love getting dressed up.
How are you?
Good. Just hanging in there.
Well, I want to say you look amazing. I mean, even when you're dressed up, look at you. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're so cute.
Oh, thank you. I like my eye. Actually, David was scared of my eye.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Riley, our dog, would be afraid of me, but he was fine. He was fine, yeah. I don't know if it's because he heard my voice. I have no idea, but he was totally fine.
That's cool. I like your hair, though. The silver looks so cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I'm not going gray anytime soon.
No. All right. Well, I really enjoyed this episode of Fear the Walking Dead, and I've been sitting on something since watching this episode. So the title of this episode is The End is the Beginning. I want to know, what does that mean to you, Diana? The end is the beginning. I think it's quite perfect that they titled this episode because, look, before we get into talking about what happened, we saw Morgan. And we were reintroduced to who he once was. And throughout this episode, we saw some form of transformation. Yeah. Maybe that's something to that effect.
Well, I agree. I think so. I think you're right. I think you're onto something. Also, it's interesting because at the very beginning, we see someone spray paint the end. And then at the end of the show, we see them spray paint the beginning.
Right.
So that's interesting in itself too. So, but I agree. I think that the end is the beginning is kind of like a butterfly, right?
Yeah. Metamorphosis.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's somehow, what is happening. Yeah, because some things have to die or die out or change in order to evolve. So yes. I agree. I think that's what it might be.
Because I was like, what does this mean? For like a couple of days now, I'm like, oh. And now just saying it out loud and talking to you about it, I'm like, oh, okay. That's what it has to mean, I think. So cool.
I agree. I think that, yeah. And I hadn't thought about it either. I'm like, okay, it's just a title, whatever. They wrote it. We're going to find out. But I hadn't really sunk my teeth into it. So thank you. Thank you for bringing up that question. And we want to know what our listeners think that means. The end is the beginning. What do you think that means? Let us know. You can leave us a comment on Twitter at @in_screens or on our Screens in Focus Facebook page. You can follow us on our Instagram, subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. The link is in our show notes. Okay, so Brooke, tell me, what were your overall thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead season 6, episode 1? This was, wow, we're finally back and we get to see what happens in Fear. So what did you think?
Well, yeah, because where we left off, Morgan was on that porch, but this episode, I was really excited to see what happened to Morgan. The last time we saw him on that porch, those walkers were all coming towards him, and I thought, how is he going to get out of that? And I did not expect to see Morgan walking with walkers. That I did not expect. So what did you think about this episode?
I loved it so much. Morgan definitely has 9 lives. He really carried this episode. I loved seeing the newcomers, even though they were short-lived. This episode reminded me of earlier The Walking Dead episodes, like from the beginning. So just the look and the feel of it, I felt surprised and excited about the episode. It was, to me, it rated up there like the top of Fear the Walking Dead. That's how much I love this episode.
It was good.
It rang really good to me.
You can ring my bell. Exactly. I loved it so much. We met some new characters, and first we met Emil, and he was camped out cooking beans in the forest, and then a man comes running into his camp, trips over his sound barrier. Emil was so kind, warm, and inviting, and I was actually hoping that this guy would be a good guy.
Sorry, that made me laugh.
It's true. I was like, oh, this is so nice. He's like going to feed this guy, like panting, all running from something. If that were me, like somebody comes into my camp, all huffing and puffing. Oh, they're chasing me for days. I'd be like, well, you can't be here. You're going to have to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
But he invited him in, and the invitation reminded me a lot of John Dory. But when the hound started barking, and then I realized that this may not be or turn out the best for this guy. So when Emil tells him that that's his dog, he looked up, and I think he realized that Emil is the headhunter that has been chasing him. Well, that guy got who was hunting him, Emil's massive axe, and with one swing, he decapitates him and puts his head in a box.
Yeah.
So I guess Virginia hired Emil to find that guy, and then she hired Emil to find Morgan as well. So then he takes this empty box and writes Morgan's name on it. So Emil is a bounty hunter, and I just feel that that's so interesting that there is such in an apocalypse.
Yeah, but I guess all personalities tend to want to do certain jobs, so it probably works for him. Although I kept thinking, what does he get from people, to do these things? I mean, what can they offer him? It's not like money has the same value that it does in a regular society. So,
right.
But actually, I think it was someone else that hired him to kill that guy, because I think he said he was going to Galveston to complete his mission. And but I'm not really sure. We'd have to relook at that. But that Emil is so scary to me. I would not want to go up against him. He had this intense stare that he would just it was almost like he could see through your soul, like he could tell if you were lying. And I was like, oh, I would not want him looking at me. He's going to be able to tell all my thoughts. And then I'm trying to put one over on him just to keep alive. So yeah, that was interesting.
Well, yeah. And then how did you miss that giant, medieval axe, that he had thrown over his shoulder like that?
Yeah.
Jeez, I'd be like, oh, this is not a good situation. I'm hungry, but I gotta go. I got somewhere to be.
Yeah.
What'd you think about our main event?
Oh,
Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan. So I was shocked that the walkers didn't want to eat him. We hadn't really seen that before. So it was great to see that element in the Walking Dead universe. Of course, we've seen that in World War Z with Brad Pitt. But it's like the zombies knew when someone was sick, and they would look right past those people because they didn't want to get, tainted meat. So, that was interesting.
Yeah, I know. And my question about Morgan is, who stitched Morgan up?
Yeah.
The last we saw him, he was bleeding out, and then we see it like, I guess, patched up or kind of healed over. And also want to know that Morgan has a letter, and so far I don't think we know who wrote it. And then being that he's been patched up and he's basically, the flesh is rotting, he's able to walk amongst walkers and he smells dead. I, for some reason, thought that he was bitten and then turned into a part walker human.
Yeah. Well, it was easy to be confused.
Yeah. I know. And then like the coordinates that he wrote into the backpack, I was like keeping an eye on that. So I don't know. I mean, he definitely seemed like he was not in a good place. What else did you notice about Morgan?
You know what? I want to say something about you wondering about who stitched him up, because I kept thinking that also, but then with everything else that was happening in this episode, because so much happened that was so good, that I kept forgetting about that. So I'm glad that you've brought it up, because I want to know too, who stitched him up. Now, that letter said basically that they had heard his messages and that they want him to basically keep going. I believe it said something like he helped them and that he's important. He needs to keep doing this. But I still think it could be Sherry. I just think it might be her, unless it's a new person that we're going to be introduced to. But I'm so eager. I'm so eager to find out.
There's some really good fans out there, because there was a lot of speculations that it's Sherry, but then I came across somebody's blog, and they were saying that that's not Sherry's handwriting. She writes in cursive.
Oh, they're good. That's true.
I know, right? Yeah. So
that's good. I like it. I like it. Thank you. So at the limo, it was interesting to hear Morgan tell the walker, "I'm right here." He's so weak. Why would he put himself at risk like that? It's like he's tempting fate. And I want to know who designed the interior of that water tower. It was just the coolest looking place. It had mattresses and quilts. I can't imagine it was Morgan. He couldn't have carried all of that up there. I don't think.
Well, no, because we saw how he had to climb up the water tower in his backpack. Just getting his backpack full of supplies up there was a difficult task. So
right.
I don't know how he could have gotten multiple mattresses up there on his own.
Exactly. And then Isaac. Oh my gosh. He was someone that I liked right away. I really liked the chemistry between him and Morgan. They got along well. I liked his character so much. He was smart, strategic. He was brave. He was in the military, and he knew how best to help Morgan. And he tells Morgan he has a safe place, and Morgan wonders why he's telling him this. And he says, "You give me my family and I'll take care of yours." And it reminded me so much of Rick and Morgan, that relationship. And it was also very scary when Morgan tells all the walkers, "I'm right," when, he brings them back before they go into where Isaac and his family is holding up. He says, "I'm right here," and he fights them all off. And he does it with one hand. I'm like, I love you, Morgan. You're so awesome. You're so awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, he was so badass. Like, where did he get that second wind,
I know. And I love how he, throws up his weapon and, gets it with his hand so that he can, stab. I want to be able to do that, If we're chased by some zombies or something, I want to be able to handle my weapon like he handled his.
Yeah.
So
he's awesome.
He is.
Love Morgan.
Yeah.
So when Emil and Rufus hunt down Morgan, and Morgan is with Isaac, again, I didn't know how Morgan was going to get out of that. I really thought that was his fate. Plus, Isaac, he was really brave to face intimidating Emil.
Yeah.
I mean, he just goes outside with the, to go and talk to a man with a giant axe that would scare anyone off. And so then, Rufus is like sniffing the door. Emil's like, oh, well, why is Rufus so interested in what's going on in there? So when he goes inside, you see Emil like smashing cabinets. He found Morgan's bloody blanket in that thrift shop.
Yeah.
And how did Morgan escape the thrift shop without Emil or Rufus noticing? Rufus is a hound dog. That's his job.
That's true.
Yeah. So, but for that scene when they're talking outside with Isaac and Emil, I really liked that scene. I liked how the old Western theme with the whole come out with your hands up. And then they're like negotiating the bounty hunter. And we've seen that in movies so many times, like Django, and even in Back to the Future 3 with Doc.
Yeah.
I just thought it was perfectly nostalgic to have added this into the whole Southwest vibe.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
I loved it too.
Yes.
And so, when Emil finds Morgan and Isaac, this was another intense segment. So Morgan.
Oh, at the dam?
Yes. When he finds them inside. And we hear, they hear the dog barking and they know that he's arrived. They found us. And Morgan, basically tells Isaac that he wants them to be safe because, he has a wife and she's pregnant. And so Morgan wants to give himself up to Emil to save their lives. And Emil says, this is not open to negotiation. And Morgan tells him he's trying to make it easy. That's got to count for something, which are words that would often come out of Rick's mouth. And I loved hearing it. I'm like, oh my God, that's something Rick would say or has said. He has said it. So I really liked that.
Yeah. With Isaac, I'm just curious how he and his wife had escaped Jenny's group. And then also Isaac was bitten before he even met Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
So Isaac really needed help and insisted on Morgan helping build the community. And yeah, I just think that the determination was there. I mean, he was like willing to fix Morgan up with his military experience.
Yeah.
And so I was like, gosh, why is he so determined to do that? And it just made sense when he showed the bite.
I will say, though, Morgan trusted Isaac and Isaac trusted Morgan before they really knew each other. So I just thought that was telling. I just really liked the characters.
Yeah.
But so Morgan sits there in front of Emil, ready to get his head chopped off, which, I mean, he really thought he was going to die. He closed his eyes. But Isaac comes out and tries to help. And the battle was so intense and so good. And that's when Isaac reveals, that he's bit and tells Morgan that he has to survive and be that person. And then Morgan and Emil continue to fight, and Morgan uses his training skills and uses Emil's weapon against him, which was so cool. And he did not think he was going to do that. He said, you didn't have something about you didn't have it in you or you couldn't do it before. And I'm not really sure exactly what he was referring to. Maybe when he shot him, he didn't shoot him in the head. I don't know.
Right.
But he chops his neck off. And I'm like, oh my God, Morgan. Morgan is just like filling everything, every box that I would want him to.
Yeah. I forgot that he shot Emil.
Yeah. But it was in the arm. So, because Isaac was saying, hey, shoot him, Morgan. And so the Morgan shot him, but he shot him in the arm.
Yeah.
So Morgan finally tells Isaac the message that he asked about earlier. And he says, I told them to live, just live. So I feel that Isaac really helped Morgan find humanity again and gave him hope, and vice versa. So his messages found their way to Isaac, and then Isaac saves Morgan.
Right.
So it was kind of full circle where they both helped each other. Because if it wasn't for Morgan, he would not have tried to escape, because he tells him earlier on, you know, I wanted what you were saying. I didn't want what Virginia was giving us. We didn't want our child to live like that.
Yeah.
So we wanted the hope and the future that you were giving us. So what Morgan put out there saved them, you know, and then Morgan was saved and transformed by the person that Isaac was. So I just really love that. And I am so sad that Isaac died. I'm so sad.
Yeah, I was pretty sad too.
What other thoughts did you have in this episode?
Well, first of all, I cringed every single time that Morgan's wound would get pressed into, or if it would start leaking. I was like, oh my God, I would catch it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes, it was horrible.
Yeah, it was so painful looking. I was like,
yes,
oh, that looks like agony. And I really like the new Morgan. I love that he is able to reinvent his persona. Once he broke the staff, I was heartbroken and wondered what he would decide to do. But we all know now he is medieval in the Southwest. And then people we talked about earlier are interested in who wrote that letter and who stitched him up. I really do hope that we find out who it is. I also heard that people are still suspecting that Madison will be back. So I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they never showed her dead.
Yeah, that's true.
So but I still can't. Well, who knows? If Rick can be gone this long, I guess she can be gone, because I thought she could never leave her kids, but who knows?
Yeah.
That would be so awesome if that would happen.
Yeah. And then, you know, the end is the beginning. I want to understand why those people wrote that on that submarine.
I know. Who are these guys? You know, and yeah, the submarine. Do they need 2 keys to launch that missile? How can you use the missile? I don't know. I can't wait. I'm excited. Maybe it has to do with the, you know, CRM people. I don't know. Maybe this will all come together.
Maybe.
So did you notice that the dog is now with them? I just thought it was so funny. The dog's all, The dog's all, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And then that they named that baby girl Morgan. That was so sweet. Perfect name.
Yeah.
And then I noticed right away that Morgan's eyes were no longer red when he had healed.
Yes.
When he woke up. And then when the head is delivered to Virginia, she smirks as she walks over to it because she thinks Morgan's head is in the box. And I wanted to slap her, but she opens the box. It's Emil's head and she laughs. So that was interesting that she found it amusing.
Right.
And as she's walking away, she tells Morgan, you know, they just need to think you're dead and all these other things. And he says some things to her and she kind of gives a huff. Like she kind of got, I don't know, like she was a little bit alarmed. Like she didn't expect him to respond. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Right.
That he's still getting to her. And I like it. I like that she can be affected by him.
Yeah.
And did you notice that Walter turned really quick into a zombie head?
Who's Walter?
Walter's the head that Emil chopped off his head in the beginning.
Oh.
And then he put it in the box. He's already a walker. Or maybe it was before he put it in the box. I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like it's been 3 minutes and the guy is already a walker. That's funny. You know? Because sometimes it takes longer, right? Depending on who it is.
Right.
And then I did notice that toward the beginning when they were at that Western town that he was looking at the baby stuff.
I know. Because
he knew that Grace is pregnant. So, I thought that was so cute that he's looking at the baby stuff. It's cute. Yeah.
Oh, Morgan's going to be a dad.
Well, yeah, I guess. They get together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not his. He'll be,
but they love each other.
Yes, so true.
Yeah.
So, Brooke,
Yes.
with this episode, I want to know who you would give your award to. What was your favorite quote, character, or moment?
Well, I give my award to Isaac for his courage, bravery, and determination to ensure that his wife and newborn can have a future and a safe place. He is truly honorable, and I love his character, and I was really sad to see him bitten and, in turn, losing his life and leaving his beloved family. So for all that he did, I give my award to Isaac.
I love that because I really liked him. Brooke, I really liked him
Me
a
too.
lot. I was like, oh, good character.
Yeah, I wish that he would had stuck around longer.
Yeah, me too.
Well, who do you give your award to? What was your favorite character, quote, or moment?
It's Morgan.
Morgan.
I mean, how can I not give it to Morgan when I said this was probably the best episode of Fear the Walking Dead, or pretty near the top? So Lenny James, he's so good. And you know that this premiered on Lenny James' birthday. So it was really quite amazing that it was his birthday and then he was the main part of this episode. So I just thought that was kind of cool. And he tells Virginia, Morgan Jones is dead and you're dealing with someone else now. He has his cowboy hat on and he rides off. I mean, Morgan has evolved and I love it. 100%. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm so happy.
Great job.
Great episode.
Yep. Love it. Well, thank you, Diana. That was a great award and send off to the birthday boy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's what are your thoughts on The Walking Dead, The World Beyond, season 1, episode 2?
Yeah. You know what? I watched it twice because the first time I had completely forgotten everything. So when I rewatched it, I remembered, oh yeah, Felix has a past and he had to come to terms with his parents' relationship in this episode. So I really feel his pain and he did a really good job in this episode. He's a trainer or an educator on taking out empties, and that's what they call walkers. And unfortunately, his students are actual young people, and they show the struggles that they're having in the world beyond. So they're very amateur, and clearly they need practice on taking out empties. But what better experience than the real world beyond? The fire that has been burning for years is so very interesting to me. I'm intrigued. I was curious as to what was really burning and to see them get lost in all that smoke and find those massive piles of tires that were burning. I just thought that was just crazy episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What stood out to you in this episode?
I agree. I love learning about Felix's past, which was really sad. I mean, how could parents disown their child like that? I mean, it's crazy to me. And even worse in the apocalypse. I don't know. I didn't like it. But I'm glad they gave him a backstory and shared it with us. So, it was good.
Yeah.
And that this fire is called I don't know if they call it the BOG or the BOG, but it stands for Blaze of Gory. And some think it's a biblical ongoing fire to mark the end of times. But Elton and others believe it's a tire fire that can last for decades. Like you said, I mean, I had no idea. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This fire that's lasting for so long, but it attracts all the walkers. So it's a hard place to pass. But they're trying to figure out how to get past it. And they make a plan to get to the tornado alarm to set it off and distract the walkers to give the group a chance to cross it more easily. But while they're asleep, Hope carries out the plan on her own. And I'm thinking, man, she is brave, this little girl. And I don't know. We'll see if they get across on the next episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was pretty good learning all this stuff about them.
It's good. I'm starting to really understand the premise. It's kind of like Stranger Things. What is it? Is it? Stand By Me. Like, I love when there's like young people in a group being in and showing us their bravery, like in It chapters. I like the young characters and their bravery. It just really stands out to me. So I'm really excited about the show.
Yeah. So, Brooke, tell me, what else are you currently watching?
Okay, so I just wanted to bring up this show on HBO. It's based off of a novel, a Stephen King novel that he wrote in 2018, and it's called The Outsider, and it stars Jason Bateman, and it starts out as, well, okay, so there's other star cast, and you'll recognize who they are. I just didn't bring in all the research to name everybody, but it's worth checking out for sure. I've only watched like 1 or 2 episodes of it. And it starts out with, it seems like there's a homicide, like a young boy was killed in a forest and they're in Georgia. And the body, he's got like it looks like human bite marks all over his body. And there's like saliva. And so they're doing all these testing. Well, a little girl claims that she saw Jason Bateman's character come out of the forest all bitten. Have you seen it?
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Did you bring it up? I'm sorry. I'm not sure if you've already
It's okay.
It.
Yes, but that was a while ago.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're good.
So I just I want to see what this is. And anywho, I really like it. I think it's really creative. I was really surprised to see what happened to the main characters, leaving the courtroom. And I was like, whoa, what's going to happen now? So I kind of left off there. Where it looks like there's just a big mess. And
it's good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I like it. Okay. I like it. It's good.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you know all about it. And so I'll just keep watching it to see what more they get into. And then I introduced the Twilight Saga, to the kids. And Gemma and so I've watched maybe 3 or 4 of this movies in the past when they first released. I read majority of the books, and I just felt like I had no one to really enjoy the movies with until now. Okay. Gemma loves Twilight. Like the books that she reads online in school, they get to choose library books, and she's reading as many books on Twilight as possible. She'll tell me, Mommy, look, there's Edward, there's Bella. And she talks about Twilight every day. So if she were of age when this movie series and book series released, her whole bedroom would have been Twilight. Her backpack would have been Twilight. Everything Twilight. So she's going to get some surprises for Christmas. Let me just tell you. It's actually really hard to find Twilight merchandise.
Now?
Yeah. It's been 10 years or something. So
yeah, I like Twilight. So that's great.
Yeah, she loves it. So if any of you who don't know what Twilight is, teenage vampires for the past 200 years. So, yeah, it's awesome. I like it. I'm excited about it. What are you watching?
Well, I'm watching The Haunting of Bly Manor, which is an extension. It's an anthology. The Haunting of Hill House was the first season, and now this is the second season. So I'm going to be talking about this on our Halloween episode, so you can hear more about it in that episode 94.
Cool.
But it is good. I do like it. So I would recommend that during this time, especially Halloween. But I'm also watching The Boys, which is on Prime. And this is the 7 who are superheroes, and they're famous and adored, but behind closed doors, they abuse their powers. And the boys are vigilantes looking to bring down the corrupt superheroes. And this is all led by Billy Butcher, who despises the superheroes or the super powered people. And then the 7 is led by Homelander, who is, drives me crazy. I do not like him at all, but it's really good. I'm on season 2. That's all there is 2 seasons, but I'm not quite done with it yet, but I cannot wait. It's like the thing that I keep trying to go to as much as I can to see the rest of it.
Cool.
So I'm really enjoying that. It's very graphic but I like it. Have you seen it, Brooke? Are you watching it at all?
I'm not watching it right now. I've checked out maybe the trailer and I've been meaning to watch it. I just had not
You will like it.
Okay.
You'll like it. The Real Housewives of Orange County is back.
Oh.
And so here I'm going for my ride again with those women. So it's been
I didn't even know
interesting.
they started.
Yeah, it started 2 weeks ago.
Dang. I used to watch it when the kids are in school, and now they're at home. So it's kind of hard.
And then on your recommendation, Brooke, I watch Brothers Sisters. So, it's a Western with Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly as notorious assassins on Jake Gyllenhaal and Riz Ahmed's trail. It's a dark comedy, and it was really fun to watch. So I really liked it.
Cool.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Quite a surprise, though, huh? There were like some twists.
Yes. Well, what I liked about it is it felt kind of real, right? It felt like something that would really happen.
Yeah.
Just the way they would talk, because sometimes things were funny, sometimes things were not. So I really appreciated that. So I thought it was a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Brooke, for your recommendations.
Thank you.
And hopefully our listeners will check some of them out.
Yeah. And thank you, Diana. I cannot wait to start the series, The Boys. Or Boys.
Yeah.
Boys?
I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah, The Boys.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, that's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We are grateful you tuned in, and we hope something we said today resonated with you and gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. If you could do us a big favor and rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, we need your feedback.
Yes, that would be great. Thank you. We'll also be uploading a new episode in a couple of weeks. Our next shows will be on Fear the Walking Dead, Season 6, Episodes 3 and 4. And we're still following The World Beyond, so you could find our website listed in our show notes. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.